What happens when a drug lord's 28-year-old son walks into my courtroom thinking his father's millions can buy him immunity? This massive, heavily tattooed man made a threat so chilling that even seasoned officers stepped back in fear. But what I did next destroyed his entire criminal empire and proved that no amount of dirty money shields you from accountability. I'm Frank Caprio, and in 35 years on this bench, I've never encountered someone who believed they were more untouchable than Marcus "Tank" Rodriguez. What started as a simple drug charge became the most intense confrontation of my career when this 6'6" mountain of muscle made the fatal mistake of threatening a federal judge. The FBI recording of what happened next has been viewed over 100 million times. Before I tell you exactly what Tank Rodriguez threatened to do to my family and how his words triggered a chain reaction that brought down a $50 million drug operation, you need to understand something. This is about the moment when evil stares you in the eye and dares you to blink first. It's a Tuesday morning in October, and Providence Municipal Court feels different. My bailiff, Officer Santos, pulled me aside with an unusual warning. "Your Honor, Marcus Rodriguez, son of Eduardo Rodriguez, alleged head of the largest drug network in New England. The kid is massive, intimidating, and extremely dangerous." When Marcus "Tank" Rodriguez enters my courtroom, there's nothing ordinary about him. At 6'6" and 270 pounds, he fills the doorway like a force of nature. His neck and arms are covered in intricate tattoos, telling stories of violence and power. Gold chains hang around his massive neck, his Rolex catching the lights like a trophy of criminal success. But it's not his size making everyone uncomfortable. It's his eyes, cold, calculating, filled with confidence that comes from believing you're above the law. He doesn't walk to the defendant's table. He swaggers, each step radiating arrogance of someone who's never faced real consequences. Tank is here because 3 weeks ago, Providence police found him with enough fentanyl to kill half the city. 500 grams of pure fentanyl hidden in his BMW SUV. That's 250,000 deadly doses, street value exceeding $2 million. This isn't marijuana we're talking about. This is a weapon of mass destruction disguised as a drug. The state of Rhode Island versus Marcus Eduardo Rodriguez, the court clerk announces. Possession of fentanyl with intent to distribute, a Class A felony carrying up to 30 years. Tank doesn't bother standing properly. He leans back, his massive frame making furniture look like children's toys. His attorney jumps up. "Your Honor, Marcus Rodriguez pleads not guilty. We believe these charges are based on illegal search and seizure." "Mr. Rodriguez," I say, my voice carrying 35 years of authority, "do you understand the gravity of these charges? 500 grams of fentanyl represents enough drugs to kill hundreds of thousands. These aren't marijuana charges. We're talking about mass poisoning capabilities." Tank finally looks at me directly, and what I see makes my blood run cold. Not fear, not remorse, but something like pity. As if he feels sorry for me for not understanding how the world really works. "Your Honor," Tank says, his tone carrying just enough respect to avoid contempt, while making clear he considers this proceeding beneath him, "I think there's been a misunderstanding about the situation here." "Mr. Rodriguez," I respond steadily, "the only misunderstanding would be if you believe your father's money and influence extend into this courtroom. They don't." Tank's expression changes, the casual amusement disappears, replaced by something dangerous. He leans forward, his massive frame like a predator preparing to strike. "Judge Caprio," Tank says, using my name instead of "Your Honor" deliberately, disrespectfully, "I've been watching you for years, caught in Providence, right? The compassionate judge who gives people second chances. You're famous for understanding that everyone deserves mercy." Tank is referencing my television show, my reputation for compassion, but doing it like manipulation, trying to use my own philosophy against me. "Mr. Rodriguez, my compassion is reserved for people who show remorse, who accept responsibility, who understand the harm they've caused. Where's your remorse?" Tank actually smiles. Not a pleasant smile, the kind predators give prey before they strike. "Your Honor, you're talking about harm to communities, but what about harm to families? What about harm to people who think they're safe because they hide behind judges' robes and federal protection? The threat is subtle but unmistakable. Tank Rodriguez just implied my family might not be safe if I don't handle his case the way he expects. Officer Santos immediately steps forward, hand moving toward his weapon. "Mr. Rodriguez," I say, voice becoming harder, "are you threatening this court?" Tank leans back, his lawyer frantically whispering, trying to control a spiraling situation. But Tank isn't listening. He's focused entirely on me. And what he says next changes everything. "Judge Caprio, I'm not threatening anyone. I'm just pointing out that Providence is a small city. Everyone knows where everyone lives. Your house on Elmwood Avenue, your wife Martha's morning walks through Roger Williams Park, your grandchildren's schools. It's a tight-knit community, and sometimes bad things happen to good people when they make decisions that certain other people don't appreciate." The silence is deafening. Tank Rodriguez just threatened not only me but my wife and grandchildren in open court, in front of dozens of witnesses, with court reporters recording every word, done in a way that's technically not direct, just observations about how vulnerable my family might be. Officer Santos is now directly behind Tank, hand on weapon. Two other bailiffs move to strategic positions. Everyone understands we've crossed a line from legal proceedings into something much more dangerous. I stand up from my bench. When I stand during proceedings, everyone knows something significant is happening. My voice carries to every corner with absolute authority. "Mr. Rodriguez, you have just made the biggest mistake of your life." Tank's confident expression finally cracks. He's starting to realize he's miscalculated something important. "Bailiff," I continue, voice gaining strength, "I want Mr. Rodriguez placed in federal custody immediately, not county jail, federal custody. And I want the FBI contacted right now." I pick up my phone and dial a number I've memorized but never used. "Agent Chen, this is Judge Frank Caprio. I need an immediate federal response team at Providence Municipal Court. I have a defendant who just threatened my family in open court while facing major drug trafficking charges." Tank's face goes pale for the first time. He's finally understanding that threatening a federal judge isn't like intimidating street witnesses. Within 8 minutes, 4 FBI agents enter my courtroom. Agent Chen leads the team, agents whose presence immediately changes the atmosphere. These aren't local police who might be intimidated by Rodriguez's family reputation. These are federal agents specializing in organized crime families. "Agent Chen," I say, "Mr. Marcus Rodriguez has just threatened my family's safety while facing federal drug trafficking charges. I want him charged with witness intimidation and threatening a federal judicial officer." "Mr. Rodriguez," Agent Chen says, voice calm but carrying unmistakable authority, "you're under arrest for threatening a federal judge and witness intimidation. These charges carry mandatory minimum sentences added to your existing drug trafficking charges." As federal agents place Tank in handcuffs designed for dangerous felons, I make an announcement that changes everything. "Furthermore, Mr. Rodriguez, I'm ordering immediate federal investigation into the Rodriguez family criminal organization. Your threat against my family just triggered federal RICO statutes. Every member of your father's organization is now a federal target." As Tank is led away in federal custody, he turns back toward me one final time. The arrogance is gone, replaced by something like beginning understanding. For 28 years he's lived believing his father's money made him untouchable. In 30 minutes he's discovered that threatening a federal judge triggers responses no criminal influence can stop. Within 48 hours of Tank's arrest, federal agents executed simultaneous raids on 17 locations connected to the Rodriguez organization. Eduardo Rodriguez watched agents seize $47 million in cash, luxury vehicles, real estate, and enough drugs to supply the entire East Coast. Tank's courtroom threat became the catalyst for the largest organized crime investigation in Rhode Island history. 6 months later, Marcus "Tank" Rodriguez stood before federal judge Patricia Williams for sentencing. Gone was the arrogant, intimidating presence. In its place was a man who'd spent 6 months in federal custody watching his father's empire crumble because of his moment of arrogance. "Mr. Rodriguez," Judge Williams announced, You are sentenced to 45 years in federal prison without parole for drug trafficking, threatening a federal judge, and racketeering conspiracy. Tank's father, Eduardo Rodriguez, received life. 22 other family members received sentences ranging from 15 to 30 years. The Rodriguez criminal empire was completely destroyed because Tank Rodriguez believed he could intimidate a federal judge in open court. 1 year later, I received a surprising letter from Tank himself, written from his federal prison cell. Judge Caprio, I want to apologize for threatening you and your family. Growing up in my father's world, I thought power came from making people afraid. You showed me that real power comes from standing up to people like me, even when it's dangerous. Tank Rodriguez walked into my courtroom thinking his father's money and intimidating presence made him untouchable. He discovered that justice doesn't negotiate with criminals who threaten judicial officers. He learned that the courage to stand up to evil regardless of personal risk, is the foundation of everything that makes our legal system work. That's what happens when criminal arrogance meets judicial courage. That's what happens when someone mistakes compassion for weakness. And that's why, even after 35 years on the bench, I continue to believe that justice, real justice, is worth any risk to defend.